Well, domestic terrorism is something that is being well undercovered by the media. Did you ever notice how all instances of domestic terrorism, often right-wing, are considered isolated incidents? How many times have we heard that? While isolated incidents involving foreign terrorists, often with dark skin, are considered part of the global war on terror, involved complicated plots. The term cells is always used. A man bent on destroying the police headquarters in McKinney was shot and killed a couple of days ago after spraying the building with bullets. Police are saying 29-year-old Patrick Gray Sharp drove a Ford F-150 pickup, pulling a trailer to the police station, set it on fire in an attempt to get people out of the building. And then inside the trailer, police are saying there were wood chips, roadside flares, gasoline, and ammonium nitrate fertilizer, the same type used in the bombing of the federal building in Oklahoma City. And I believe the same kind that was found in that Times Square bomber's vehicle. Remember, Lewis, there was fertilizer involved there as well.
Yep.
So, in fact, it is. As my notes actually say it is. Ammonium nitrate fertilizer is the same thing that the Times Square car bomber had. Why is it, Lewis, that when we have incident after incident of right-wing terror, the guy who was angry with the IRS for high taxes and flew his plane into a IRS building, we have the James von Brunn who decided to shoot up the Holocaust Museum. All of these are always isolated incidents with a lone gunman acting completely isolated from any outside influence. Yet, when we have a single individual who has dark skin or is a foreigner acting, the conclusion, the presumption is that it is a terrorist plot bent on destroying the country.
Like the plane flying into Detroit not too long ago.
That's right. That was Abdul Muttalib, of course. Now, is there some validity to the fact that all of those are acting in conjunction with somebody in Yemen or not? Well, sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. But the presumption seems to be very clear. You know, how many domestic Muslim terrorist attacks does it take to be considered a jihad? And the answer is none. Doesn't even take an attack. All they have to do is talk about opening a community center, and it's already being called a jihad. On the other hand, how many right-wing domestic terrorist attacks does it take to be considered a problem? More than any of us can count, apparently. We still haven't gotten to the number where it is being considered a problem. Now, am I wrong, Lewis? Is it being considered a problem and I'm just not hearing about it for some reason? My sense is that it is not being considered a problem. It's being considered individual, isolated incidents, every single one of them.
I'm not hearing it's a problem. I'm not hearing that
the narrative,
Homeland Security is actively seeking out possible right-wing terrorists.
Domestic
right-wing terrorists.
As a trend that is taking place.
Right.
You know, that's my sense. And if our audience has a feeling that it is being considered a problem, then certainly let me know. Now, last week's poll, should Barack Obama have commented about the Ground Zero Mosque controversy? This is actually a split. 51% say yes, 40% say no, 9% simply don't know. Interesting. The new poll on midweekpolitics.com. Do you believe the war in Iraq has ended? Log on. Give us your answer. Lewis, what is your answer? Do you believe the war in Iraq has ended?
Hard to answer. Do I think our troops are still going to be getting killed over there on a regular basis? Yes.
Yes, no, don't know. Has the war in Iraq ended?
No.
You say no. Okay. Emails, radio@midweekpolitics.com on Barack Obama commenting on the Ground Zero Mosque. Yes, I think Obama should have commented about it. He just said the wrong thing. I think her comments were wrong, and he should be put in prison for treason for supporting the building of the mosque. Okay, there's one opinion. Another email, there is already a mosque built and has been there, which is closer to Ground Zero. The community center is in the community, just like the Jewish Community Center on 82nd is in the community of Temples. Fair enough. Talking about the black couple who was denied a house by a white couple in Illinois. Chicago and Illinois is a cesspool of racial bigotry. I live here and see it all the time. You know, I've been to Chicago a couple of times. I'm actually going next week. I have not noticed that, and I've been with people from there of all racial backgrounds, and that is not the sense that I got. That it is a particularly racist area. But of course, we know there are racists everywhere. Related to Alvin Greene and Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle is infamous for his ridiculous comments, but the real terror in the family is Marilyn. She's one of those apocalyptic end the world now Christians. I always prayed for Daddy Bush's good health while he was president, because to have the Quayles in the presidency would have been disastrous. You know, I can't say I disagree. And on the topic of Alvin Greene, I pray to God that he is elected. So apparently some religious viewers really into the idea of Alvin Greene being elected, but for comedic purposes, not for anything else. We also talk about the scammers on the religious cable channel INSP, the inspirational channel. One email says, I am a Christian, and these so-called preachers that propagate the false teachings really tick me off. And these snake oil types use religious language for their scams. This guy might say that individuals who didn't receive the 100-fold return, biblical terminology, it always gets them to give money, didn't have enough faith in God's reward. That's absolutely right. Of all those people in there who obviously will not get their $1,000 seed back, will they, Lewis?
I sincerely doubt it.
The argument from the preacher will be, listen, you just didn't believe. You didn't have enough faith.
That's easy.
We're giving away an iPad in honor of the 5-year anniversary of Midweek Politics. Log on to midweekpolitics.com. On the top left side of the site, you'll see our little countdown to the end of the giveaway. Become a member, sign up for our newsletter, a couple of ways to get in on it. Giving away an iPad. I think people will like it. Visit us on the web at midweekpolitics.com. Of course, check us out on Free Speech TV and on Stitcher on your mobile phones. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Midweek Politics is made possible in part by CSR Wire, the corporate social responsibility newswire at csrwire.com, by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.